3 homages. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami.
Good morning and welcome to Reno Buddhist Center. It's so lovely to see all of these familiar and new faces, even through masks. I've gotten really good at looking at eyes. And welcome to those of you tuning in from home. We appreciate everyone's good energy and effort to be here in community and share the Dharma. We will begin, as is our tradition, chanting the Shoshinge. So it's this, it's upside down. This book right here in the seat back pocket in front of you. And it opens sort of backwards. If you're new, kind of open it. Yeah, it's traditional Japanese. And then we chant it in vertical columns from right to left, going across. And if you pay attention to your order of service, you'll know when we kind of skip around towards the end, we skip the wasans, number 1, 3, and 5. So the Shoshinge is important because it shares our lineage of teaching. And Shinran Shonin, our founder, that monk at the very top there, wrote the Shoshinge more than 850 years ago in Japan. And he talks about Amida Buddha and all the 7 teachers in our lineage. And really the most important thing about it is it just generates and cultivates a lot of positive healing energy. And it just feels good to feel that together. As we chant the Shoshinge, we will come up and you're welcome to come up and offer incense at our Oshoko altar. And you just bow and you place 2 pinches of incense on the charcoal. And then offering gratitude as you do that, because we are so grateful for all of the loving kindness, compassionate energy that supports us every day. So it's important to think about gratitude, especially these days when we're feeling maybe a little bit stressed. Cultivating the gratitude energy is an antidote to that. So it's very good. If you're at home, please offer incense with that same gratitude feeling at your own altar at home. And that energy is still out there in the universe, and we feel it too. So you're not alone. Here on the altar is Amida Buddha, offering infinite wisdom and compassion. So we are very grateful. Thank you so much. 昇進へ。奇妙無量寿如来南無不可思議故法蔵菩薩因に自在世自在応無所刀剣勝負浄土院国土人伝自然幕根流無常種諸願長法慶右大偶勢五行四唯四小十十世妙正文字法不法無量無変更無下無体公縁の少女歓喜知恵子不断難死無所故超日が交渉人生一切群上無交渉本願名号少女語死心信行願人上等学書大涅槃非死滅道願成就如来所意公主世唯世弥陀本願会五濁悪事群上会往生如来両実言の法一年喜愛心不断本の特涅槃本性逆法再永流妙種死入海一味聖種信仰上昇後意の水波無明暗頓内心臓死運無上不信自信人天非尿に幸福運無運無死下妙無暗逆心謙虚大狂気即応超税後悪種一切全幕本部人門心如来偶勢願仏言広大小芸者税人名踏んだりけ弥陀部本元年部邪見教魔なく修上信行十字人に難中死な昔インド祭天四論芸中華自治一期思想現代諸公聖書意妙如来本税大き釈迦如来両合戦一種五妙難天軸龍樹大事出頭世質の財波有無権先世大乗無常法小官議事小安楽返事難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願次年即時入筆上唯の上昇如来語王法大悲偶勢音天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下公如来永寿ただ謙信寺高専王朝大誓願こういう本願力栄光異道群上小維心非入空徳大崩壊筆脈入大永寿主特使蓮華造世界即小信用法小心有本の人間人図入賞自音自王芸本自動乱両天使上高乱小菩薩来三蔵ルシ十条教本書専用気楽法 天神菩薩論中下報道因果見世願王言栄光有他力少女死因唯心人惑前本部新人法承知承持即涅槃非死無量光明道小有修上回復系同社継承道難所唯名浄土活入万全自力変言中円満特語感染症三部三神慶音言増魔法明道非因一生増惑地偶税思安妖怪称名化全道独名無所依法愛上三女逆悪光明明語見因縁開入本願大智慧行者小樹金剛心狂気一年総合用意大東逆三人即小法小四上楽現心公開一大教変気安養可二祭先祖終身反戦人法華二道小弁流国中悪人類小部外薬剤非正集中門の証言水不見大非無見上昇が本次元空明仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現代生じ臨伝芸慶地義上位少子即入弱上無意楽七心地に納入苦境大自修士と上妻無変極辱悪道無な無阿弥陀無な無阿弥陀無な無阿弥陀無な弥陀上部のこの方は今に自己をへたまえりほしのこうりえぬきわもな悪せのもみょうを照らすなりナムアミダムナムアミダムナムアミダブナムアミダブ しこうそくかむるものはみなうむを離ると述べたもおう平等格に奇妙せよ栄光願にしくどく平等聖祭道本菩提心往生は安楽公ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ
Well, Reverend Shelley, shall we all sing Let the Buddha Walk With You together, just as an interlude?
Sure.
Okay. The reason we did that is because there are no children
today.
Which is kind of odd, but who knows? It's a sunny day. They might be playing soccer or something. We could do the whole thing. Do we have enough music to do the whole thing?
No.
Oh.
Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. It's in your order of service. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you.
The Buddha strolling through the Milky Way, strolling through the moon and stars,
Walking in the garden
and the universe.
Let the Buddha walk with you.
Let the Buddha walk with
you. Impromptu doesn't always work.
Good morning. The Sankita Sutra, the Dharma, in brief. Thus, I have heard, at one time the student Sankita went to the Buddha and he bowed to him, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to the Buddha, "It would be good if the Buddha would teach me the Dharma in brief, so that having heard the Dharma from the Buddha, I might dwell alone in seclusion, heedful, ardent, and resolute." The Buddha admonished Sankita, "But it is in just this way that some heedless men make the request, but then, having been taught the Dharma, think they should just tag along behind me without practice or effort. May the Buddha teach me the Dharma in brief. May the well-gone, the Tathagata, teach me his Dharma. It may well be that I will understand the Buddha's words. It may be well that I will become an heir to the Buddha's teaching." "Well said, Sankita. Then train yourself in this way. My mind will be established inwardly, well composed. Evil, unskillful qualities will be let go. Those qualities that may have arisen will not remain consuming my mind. Then you train yourself in this way. Goodwill as my path to letting go will be developed, pursued, handed the reins, and taken as a basis, given a grounding, steadied, consolidated, and well undertaken. That's how you train yourself. When you have developed this samadhi in this way, develop it with directed thought and evaluation. Develop it with no directed thought and a smaller amount of evaluation. Develop it with no directed thought and no evaluation. Develop it accompanied by rapture, and then not accompanied by rapture, endowed with a sense of enjoyment and with equanimity. Then train yourself in compassion as your path to letting go, and gratitude as your path to letting go, and equanimity as your path to letting go. They will be developed, pursued, handed the reins, and taken as a basis, given a grounding, steadied, consolidated, and well undertaken. That's how you train yourself. When you have developed this samadhi in this way, develop it with directed thought and evaluation, with no directed thought and a small evaluation. Develop it without directed thought or evaluation. Develop it with rapture without, endowed with a sense of joy and equanimity. Then train yourself in this way. I will remain focused on the body in and of itself, ardent, alert, and mindful, putting aside greed and distress towards the world, focused on feelings in and of themselves, focused on the mind in and of itself, focused on mental qualities in and of themselves, ardent, mindful, and alert, putting aside greed and distress towards the world. That is how you train yourself. Develop this samadhi with and without, accompanied and not accompanied by rapture, endowed with joy and equanimity. When you have developed concentration in this way, then wherever you go, you will go in comfort. Wherever you stand, you will stand in comfort. Wherever you sit, you will sit in comfort. Wherever you lie down, you will lie down in comfort and equanimity. Then Sankita, having been admonished and instructed by the Buddha, got up from his seat and bowed to his teacher, circled around him, keeping on his right side to the Buddha, and departed. Then Sankita returned to his dwelling, alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute. He practiced what he was taught, and in a short time reached and remained in the supreme goal of the spiritual life. He had gone forth from home into homelessness to know and realize the greatest insight for himself in the here and now. He knew birth and death is ended. The spiritual life fulfilled. The task done. I know this for the sake of the world. And thus, he became another one of the Buddha's enlightened students, an arhat. We will now have a few moments of meditation accompanied by music.
might have noticed my back is a little janky today, so far, so good. This would be a most inopportune time to fall off of the teaching platform. Just going to be more careful. Well, good morning again to everyone. Welcome to our Reno Buddhist Center. It's good that you have gathered with us here and in the cyberspatial world. New friends are always welcome here. If you're new, you probably noticed that there's a lot of greeting and welcoming. And dear friends, return to us each day. They have accepted the Dharma of the Buddha and see its wisdom and its practicality. You're here with us today, and we recognize the great value of spiritual practice together. We'll talk today about equanimity, upeksha in Sanskrit. It's one of the 4 Brahma Viharas. I am challenged a bit by the issue with my back, but then it's an opportunity to equanimity. I keep saying that to myself. Equanimity is perfect calm, an unshakable balance of mind, rooted in insight, rooted in seeing reality clearly as it is, clearly seeing the world around us and seeing into our own heart. We notice how delicate and fragile such a balance is. It is a real challenge to attain and maintain balance of mind. Reflecting on life, we notice how it continually moves between contrasts. We rise and fall, success and failure, loss and gain. And inside, we feel how our heart responds to all these with happiness and sorrow, delight and despair. I once watched an older gentleman trying to get out of the surf on a beach in Maui in Hawaii. It was a modest little beach. The waves were average. Wave after wave, they would topple him, and he would gain his footing only to be struck by another wave, sometimes from the side, sometimes from behind. It was painful to watch. He struggled against the sea until he was unable to stand, and at real risk. With the help of some people noticed and went to help him, and we got him out, and that was okay. But the idea of that is important. The waves of emotions that we all experience are like this. They carry us up and throw us down. As soon as we find respite, then another wave hits again. I'm laughing because last night, out of the blue at 9 o'clock, there was searing pain, and it felt like somebody had stabbed me in the side. And I was just sitting there watching people ice skate. Reverend Shelley thinks that I was mentally ice skating with them and so injured myself. Seems a bit far-fetched, but possible. So another wave hits. Maybe the good kind, or maybe the hard kind. We struggle against them without strategy or insight. We just struggle, like the man in the surf. How can we expect to get a stable footing in these waves of life? How can we construct a stable life in the middle of this tossing ocean of birth and death? The Buddha offers an island of equanimity. He offered it to Sankita. I have to just pause. The beginning of that sutra is really interesting because the Buddha doesn't say, "Yes, Sankita, I will teach you the Dharma." He says, people come to me and say this, and then they just follow around with me, and they don't actually listen to me. He started by chiding him, but maybe that's good because it kind of puts Sankita in the right direction. So take this seriously. The Buddha could see that beings experience a small share of happiness after much disappointment, after failure and defeat. He saw that only the courage to start anew, again and again, can promise success. He saw that we need equanimity because we live in a world where glimpses of joy flash amid sickness and separation and death. A world where beings may be connected by sympathetic joy one moment and lost without compassion in the next. The equanimity he taught is based on vigilant presence of mind, not on indifference or dullness. It comes from concerted and deliberate training. It is not the result of wishing we had equanimity. Equanimity wouldn't be equanimity if it required too much exertion to maintain through life. True equanimity meets even severe tests and sustains. Its strength comes from deep sources in being and consciousness, sources we might call Amida Buddha. Its power of solidity and self-renewal is rooted in insight, in seeing clearly life and death and everything. What kind of insight am I talking about? Two important insights ground us in equanimity. The Buddha taught that clear understanding of what we call the difficulties of life are important, and also to see how they originate. That's key. This is the first grounding, understanding that the difficulties result from our karma, our actions of body, speech, and mind. Actions taken in this life and before. Karma is the source we spring from. And whether we like it or not, we are inseparable owners of these deeds. We own our karma. But as soon as we have performed any action, our control over it is lost. It forever remains with us and inevitably returns as seeds planted grow into trees. Nothing that happens to us comes from an outer, hostile world, foreign to ourselves. There is no outer world. That is a fiction created by the self to justify its paranoia. Everything begins with mind. Everything is not separate from mind. Knowing this deeply, we are freed from fear. Knowledge is the first grounding of equanimity. When we realize that in everything that befalls us, we only meet ourselves. What is there to fear? This guy? Not that scary. We can say to ourselves, "Oh, it's you again, the house builder." When fears or uncertainty arise, we know the refuge where it can be neutralized, our skillful actions. By taking this refuge, confidence and courage grow within us. Confidence in the protecting power of our good actions. Courage to act skillfully right now, despite the hardships of our present life. Noble and selfless actions are the best defense against hard blows. It is never too late, and it's always the right time for good actions. The refuge of skillful action, firmly established within us, gives us assurance, stability, and peace. Then our actions will be our good friends. From the certainty of our mind will become serene, and we gain the strength of patience and equanimity to bear with all of our present adversities. The second solid grounding of equanimity is the Buddha's teaching of non-self, anatta. This insight shows us that, ultimately, actions are not really done by any self. Neither do their results affect any self. There is no immutable self. We cannot speak of I, me, or my. The delusion of self, of separation and permanence of a self, creates suffering and shakes us out of equanimity. How does that work? If we think, I messed up, equanimity is shaken. If my work does not succeed, I think, I am failure. And equanimity is shaken. If possessions or loved ones are lost, we think, what was mine has gone. And equanimity is shaken. The Buddha established equanimity as an unshakable state of mind. He gave up possessive thoughts of I, me, and mine. To do this, he started with little things, and gradually that are easy to detach from, and then gradually worked up to precious possessions and goals that our heart clings to, clutches, and thirsts for. The Buddha also gave up the counterparts to these thoughts, thoughts of self hidden in little places, hidden in our personality, in identity, in qualities of minor importance, small weaknesses clearly seen, and gradually worked up to giving up attractions and aversions that we think are the center of who we are. In proportion to how much we let go of I and mine, those thoughts, equanimity flows into our heart. We're going to try a thought exercise now. Probably helps to... Good. Probably helps to close the eyes. It's very, very simple. We'll feel a difference in a thought. So think the thought, a glass has broken. Just think it and remember how it feels. Okay. But now try this. Eyes still closed. Think this thought. I'm so stupid. I broke my favorite glass. What will I do? Think that. Okay. We can open our eyes. It does feel different, doesn't it? The second thing hurts. The first thing is a shoulder shrug. A glass broke. But when an I did it and I lose it, then it hurts. There is freedom in the realization of non-self. How can something we know is not ourself cause us agitation? The teaching of non-self guides us on the path to peace, to the paramita of equanimity. In my Dharma talk on the 4 immeasurable attitudes last month, I probably forgot to mention that equanimity is the crown jewel of the 4, the culmination of these 4 sublime attitudes. It is. Sometimes people misunderstand what we mean by equanimity. If we let go, we detach. If we are detached, are we not indifferent? This misunderstanding makes equanimity the negation of love, compassion, and sympathetic joy. It is not. Maybe something like just don't care mind. Far from that. Equanimity includes, embraces, and pervades with love, compassion, and joy, completely. Our English word equanimity refers to being calm and balanced, especially in the midst of difficulty. There's a Kipling poem, If, about this. You should look it up. I was going to read it, but I started crying, so I couldn't. So look it up. Is there 2 homework assignments now? Yeah, okay. Especially in the midst of difficulty. Like our man in the waves. He has lost his balance, and with every succeeding wave, he's at risk of his life. In Buddhism, the meaning of upeksha is a little bit different. We know upeksha is one of the 4 immeasurable attitudes, and we know that these are not emotions, they are attitudes. They are fundamental ways to look at life. The Sanskrit word means more like to look over or to look beyond. Upa means over, and iksha means to look. So as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, you climb the mountain to be able to look over the whole situation. You see both sides of the mountain, unbound by taking sides. As with joy, an attitude of equanimity sees the big picture. If our man in the waves can look beyond the torment of being thrown down wave after wave and stand with solidity facing the sea, he will see successive waves coming his way. He will be able to brace for impact, recover, and move in the lull when it is safe. Slowly, facing the sea, walking backward toward the shore to safety, to the beach, to warmth. Only in awareness of the danger and facing that danger can we respond to life calmly. So, it is a mistake to think equanimity is indifference. We are not detached and unconcerned with other beings. We see deep and real connections with all that is. Equanimity really means we are not ruled by fears or passions or desires. Evenness of mind is unshakable freedom of mind, the attitude of inner composure that is not upset by gain or loss or praise and blame. Equanimity is freedom from all points of self-reference. It is indifference only to the demands of I, me, my. It is indifference to wanting for pleasure and power. When we let this go, we can act skillfully to provide well-being to fellow human beings. Equanimity. Abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. We just finished the Buddhism 101 class, right here actually, yesterday, and it was great to share the Dharma with 20 new friends, so that was a good experience. We spent one session talking about the life of the Buddha. And we can look to the life of the Buddha for guidance about this whole equanimity thing. After his enlightenment, the Buddha certainly did not live in a state of indifference. Instead, he spent 45 years actively teaching the Dharma to others for their sake. Now, in the sutra, we noticed that it might have been wearing on him a little bit, but he kept going with it to help them. He was okay already. He didn't need power or prestige. It was a burden. He decided to teach his middle way out of compassion, great compassion, feeling his deep connection with all sentient beings who suffer. Another Pali word that means equanimity is tatramajhata. It's kind of a long word. I think Pali is like German. You can make words and they look like sentences, but they just stack them together. So, tatramajhata, which means to stand in the middle. Standing in the middle is the Buddhist way. A man standing in the breaking waves, balanced by inner stability, remaining centered when surrounded by the turbid turmoil of the limitless sea crashing into the immovable shore. Life is more multidimensional than that. Imagine a 9-dimensional world where the waves can hit you from any one of the 10 directions at any time. That is what real life is. We are constantly pulled and pushed in one direction or another by things or conditions we want to avoid. Waves like praise and blame, pleasure and pain, success and failure, crashing into us. The wise person, the Buddha said, accepts all this without approval or disapproval, standing in the middle with equanimity. Now, how do we cultivate this equanimity? It starts with mindfulness. To cultivate equanimity, we practice catching ourselves when we feel the subtle attraction or aversion before it hardens into grasping and negativity. We can feel the subtle signs when they are small. Feelings in the body. Wanting feels different, doesn't it? Just think about something you want and feel how it somatically feels. How does your body feel when you think about it? People sometimes describe it as an ache or an itching or a thirst. Hard to put words on the feelings of your body, but we can be aware of the subtle sensations those body feelings give rise to. We can become aware of the thoughts and mental processes that naturally follow those sensations. And we can become mindful of the mental objects we create and interplay, and these fatal attractions or aversions occur. The man in the waves is terrified, and he panics. He tries to stand, and he's thrown down until his strength is sapped. If he didn't panic and followed a strategy, just carefully breathed when he could at the appropriate time, and if he just floated, he would probably have washed up on the sand. A log doesn't panic in the same surf. It quite easily, without fear, terror, or panic, washes up on the beach. It was that struggle of the self against the sea that caused his panic. In life, we all know people who are not mindful. I had this friend, he's not mindful. You know, when people say, I have this friend, it means them, but they are afraid to say it. I have this friend, he's not mindful. And they're perpetually jerked around by their emotions and biases. Instead, in mindfulness, we recognize and acknowledge feelings without letting them control us. Seeing the wave in the distance, we can skillfully diminish its effect and damage. Finding a balance in our mind is possible, even when wave after wave of difficulties and triumphs collide with our life. The attitude of one who sees broadly with unbiased eye, as one standing in the middle. This is equanimity. It is grounded in understanding karma. This gives us our measure of control. And grounded in seeing the true non-self nature of reality, anatta. All these bad things are not really happening to you. They are actually happening. In this way, blame or shame are not possible. Equanimity, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility or ill will. Equanimity is bright, connected, and aware, but never indifferent. The Buddha, in his equanimity, offered this teaching, knowing full well it would be no easy task. Some people would misunderstand and give up or distort his words, but he taught anyway. With the solidity of equanimity as his keel, deep in the ocean of the Buddha Dharma, unaffected by praise or blame. His time teaching was fraught with all manner of difficulties and intrigues. Really terrible things happened, strange things happened while he was teaching, because other people didn't understand or powerful people felt threatened. All those different things occurred. But he was not affected. We can cultivate this wise attitude in small ways. Mindfulness of the body, sensations, mental bias, and patterns of thought will help. Mindful and aware of our small place in all of this. We can find solidity and peace. We can become like him, like a Buddha. Equanimity. Abundant, exalted, immeasurable, absent hostility or ill will. To finish, let us calmly and with equanimity share a wholesome wish for all beings. May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you be free from harm.
May you be free from harm.
May you receive boundless compassion.
May you receive boundless compassion.
And may peace and harmony fill your heart.
And may peace and harmony fill your heart.
Namanda. 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 Thank you. At this point, we usually share our Reno Buddhist Center theme song. A few of you will be disappointed that Debbie Reynolds is no longer singing it with us, but the tape broke. We literally had a cassette tape with Debbie Reynolds on it to sing along with this at first, and over time it stretched, and Debbie kind of got off the note. It was silly. I would ask you to stand. It's on page 49 of the service book, if you don't know it already.
Away, away, come away with me, where the grass grows wild and the winds blow free. Away, away, come away with me, and I'll build you a home in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. The stars, oh how bright and far, on a world they'll shine on the home we will build in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow.
Please be seated. We have just a few announcements. Most important of all, there are tea and treats downstairs. Just go through those doors, circle around and down, and there we are. No, I said that was the most important, and then I'm stuck. It's also important that if you're new and you'd like to ask questions and interact, that we offer you a time to do that. Downstairs in the Aroma Hall, where there are tea and treats, there is also a table that is for the newcomers circle to meet. And our friend George Killeran, there he's raising his hand, he'll be sitting at that table. So if you're new, find George and sit there. And we can have some interaction, ask questions. If you just want to listen to other people's questions, that works quite well. But there may be some question you're like, well, what about that thing? Okay, what's karma? Yeah, okay. Some of those are 10-year questions, but we start somewhere, and that's okay. The last piece, there's other announcements in the order of service. You can just look at those yourself. And the last announcement is that Shin Buddhism class will start on February 12th, which I think is the next coming Saturday. Is that the right way? Did I say it right?
Yes.
No, good. Okay. I'm having trouble with English sometimes. Japanese, they don't say it that way. So, and then we'll follow in 3 successive Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. So sign up for that. There's a link on the website under education. It's helpful if you do sign up beforehand. Okay. Thank you very much.